What's your emergency?
In the shadowy corridors of the Blanchard household, Gypsy Rose emerged as a figure shrouded in mystery and manipulation. Her life unfolded like a twisted tale, where reality was often obscured by layers of deceit. Raised in an environment that blurred the lines between love and control, Gypsy's existence was a psychological labyrinth from which escape seemed impossible. Each day was a performance, crafted under the watchful eye of her mother, Dee Dee, whose intentions were as enigmatic as they were sinister. Gypsy's longing for freedom was palpable, yet it coexisted with an ingrained sense of loyalty to her mother. This internal conflict created a psychological tension that fueled her struggle for independence. As she navigated the complexities of her situation, Gypsy began to question the very foundations of her identity. Was she merely a pawn in her mother's game? Or could she reclaim her narrative and become the author of her own story? The turning point came when Gypsy's yearning for autonomy reached a critical mass. With each secret conversation and clandestine plan, she plotted her escape from the clutches of her mother's manipulation. This burgeoning sense of agency was a powerful catalyst for change. It propelled her into a world that was both terrifying and exhilarating, a realm where she could finally confront the truth of her existence and the lies that had suffocated her for so long. As Gypsy stepped into the unknown, the psychological implications of her journey unfolded dramatically. The weight of years spent under Dee Dee's control bore down on her, yet she found strength in the fragility of her newfound freedom. The narrative shifted from one of victimhood to resilience, illustrating the profound psychological impact of her transformation. Gypsy Rose became not just a survivor, but a symbol of defiance against the constraints of her past. Ultimately, the story of Gypsy Rose serves as a cautionary tale about the complexities of maternal bonds and the darker sides of love. It invites readers to delve into the depths of the human psyche, exploring themes of manipulation, identity, and the quest for autonomy. In this psychological thriller, the enigmatic figure of Gypsy Rose Blanchard rises from the ashes of her past, ready to confront the demons that once defined her life and reshape her destiny. In the small town of Springfield, Missouri, Dee Dee Blanchard crafted an elaborate facade that masked the dark reality of her life with her daughter, Gypsy Rose. Dee Dee, presenting herself as a devoted mother, claimed that Gypsy suffered from numerous chronic illnesses, subjecting her to a life of confinement and medical treatments that were often unnecessary. This world of deception was meticulously constructed, where the line between care and control blurred, leading to profound psychological implications for both mother and daughter. Gypsy, raised in an environment saturated with manipulation, believed she was severely ill due to her mother's persistent assertions. Dee Dee's control over Gypsy extended beyond physical ailments. It shaped her entire identity. The reality of Gypsy's life was one of isolation, where friendships were non-existent and interactions with the outside world were limited. This psychological conditioning created a dependency that would have devastating consequences when Gypsy sought her own freedom. As Gypsy grew older, the cracks in Dee Dee's carefully maintained world began to show. The internet became a double-edged sword, providing Gypsy with a glimpse of the life she could have outside the confines of her mother's control. It was through online interactions that Gypsy's desire for independence flourished. leading to a series of events that would ultimately unravel the dark secrets hidden within their home. The dynamics of their relationship were complex, filled with both love and profound betrayal. Dee Dee's actions stemmed from a need for attention and sympathy, while Gypsy's quest for autonomy morphed into a desperate fight for survival. This psychological thriller delves deep into the nature of their bond, exploring how love can sometimes masquerade as manipulation and how the quest for freedom can lead to unimaginable outcomes. In the aftermath of the shocking events that unfolded, the world was left questioning the extent of Dee Dee's psychological manipulation and the tragic reality faced by Gypsy. The story serves as a chilling reminder of the darker aspects of maternal love and the lengths one might go to in the name of care. As the truth was revealed, the narrative shifted from one of a devoted mother to that of a deeply troubled individual, leaving a haunting legacy that continues to captivate and disturb audiences. In the intricate web of deceit woven by Dee Dee Blanchard, the facade of illness became a powerful weapon. The world around her accepted her daughter Gypsy Rose as a frail child in need of constant care, oblivious to the sinister truth lurking beneath the surface. This deception was not merely a cruel game. It was a calculated strategy that allowed Dee Dee to manipulate those around her, gaining sympathy, attention, and financial support while keeping Gypsy shackled in a life of fabricated ailments. The psychological implications of such a charade are profound. Gypsy, raised under the shadow of her mother's control, was conditioned to believe that she was sick, leading to a distorted perception of reality. This manipulation created an internal conflict within Gypsy, where the line between truth and fiction blurred. The emotional toll of living in a constant state of illness, both physically and mentally, left deep scars that would haunt her for years to come. Dee Dee's actions can be examined through the lens of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a condition that manifests in caregivers who exaggerate or fabricate illnesses in those they care for. This psychological disorder not only highlights the lengths to which Dee Dee was willing to go to maintain her facade, but also raises questions about her own mental state. The motivations behind her behavior reveal a complex interplay of need for control, fear of abandonment, and an insatiable desire for validation from others. As the truth began to unravel, the facade of illness started to crumble. Gypsy's escape from her mother's clutches marked a pivotal moment in her life, transforming her from a victim to a survivor. The revelations that followed exposed the dark underbelly of their relationship, igniting public outrage and fascination. The story became a chilling reminder of how far one can go to protect a lie and the devastating consequences that can ensue. Ultimately, the facade of illness serves as a profound exploration of the psychological manipulation that can occur within familial relationships. It invites readers to reflect on the nature of truth and the lengths individuals will go to maintain their narratives. The case of Gypsy Rose and Dee Dee Blanchard challenges societal perceptions of illness and victimhood, urging a deeper understanding of the complexities of human behavior and the shadows that often lie hidden beneath the surface. In the dimly lit corners of Gypsy Rose's life, secrets entwined with shadows, creating a tapestry of deception that was hard to unravel. The whispers of her past echoed in the silence, haunting her every step as she navigated the complexities of her existence. Each revelation about her mother, Dee Dee, peeled back a layer of the facade, exposing the darker side of love and control that held her captive for years. The intricate dance of manipulation painted a disturbing portrait of their relationship, where trust was a dangerous game and affection often masked ulterior motives. As the investigation into Dee Dee's death unfolded, new secrets began to surface, revealing a world of lies that extended beyond the confines of their home. Friends and family members became reluctant participants in a story that seemed too surreal to be true. Eyewitness accounts clashed with the meticulously crafted narrative that Dee Dee had woven around Gypsy. The truth became a haunting specter, lurking just out of reach as the police struggled to piece together the fragments of a life overshadowed by deceit. Gypsy's transition from victim to survivor was fraught with emotional turmoil as she confronted the shadows of her past. Therapy sessions unearthed buried memories, forcing her to grapple with the reality of her mother's influence and the manipulation that had defined her childhood. Every session brought new challenges as Gypsy learned to distinguish between love and control. This journey of self-discovery was not merely about finding freedom. It was about reclaiming her identity from the shadows that had loomed over her for so long. The media frenzy surrounding the case added another layer of complexity to Gypsy's struggle. As headlines screamed for attention, the public's fascination with her life made it difficult for her to process her trauma. She found herself at the center of a psychological spectacle, where every detail of her existence was scrutinized and sensationalized. The shadows of her mother's legacy clung to her like a cloak, complicating her attempts to forge a new path away from the chaos that had once defined her life. Ultimately, Secrets in the Shadows encapsulates the intricate web of psychological manipulation that Gypsy Rose endured, reflecting a broader commentary on the complexities of familial bonds. The shadows that once threatened to consume her became a source of strength as she learned to confront the hidden truths of her past. In the end, the journey towards healing was not just about escaping the darkness, but about illuminating the path to self-acceptance and understanding, proving that even in the deepest shadows, there lies the potential for light. The facade of a perfect life often hides a tumultuous reality, and for Gypsy Rose Blanchard, this truth ran deep. Her life, meticulously crafted by her mother Dee Dee, presented a world where illness and dependency were woven into the very fabric of their existence. Yet beneath the surface, cracks began to form, revealing the underlying tensions and secrets that would ultimately shatter their constructed reality. The constant manipulation and deception created an environment ripe for psychological unraveling, setting the stage for an explosive confrontation. As Gypsy grew older, the constraints of her fabricated illness became increasingly suffocating. The world outside her mother's carefully guarded domain beckoned with promises of freedom, yet she felt entrapped by the very person she was supposed to trust. The psychological strain of living a life dictated by another's whims created a chasm between her true self and the persona she was forced to portray. This internal conflict would fuel her desire to break free, leading her to make choices that would change their lives forever. Dee Dee's controlling nature began to show signs of desperation as Gypsy's rebellion grew. The cracks in their relationship widened, revealing the deep-seated fears that drove Dee Dee's actions. Her need for control stemmed from a fear of losing the only thing that gave her life meaning, a daughter who could be both a source of pride and a tool for her own validation. The psychological toll on both mother and daughter became increasingly apparent as they navigated the treacherous waters of their dysfunctional dynamic. The turning point came when Gypsy's longing for autonomy sparked a dangerous alliance with someone from the outside world. This relationship, born out of desperation and a shared understanding of their respective pains offered Gypsy a glimpse of the life she yearned for. However, it also set into motion a series of events that would lead to devastating consequences. The once solid foundation of trust between mother and daughter began to crumble as secrets and lies spiraled into a devastating climax. Ultimately, the cracks in the surface revealed the raw, unfiltered truth of their lives. The psychological thriller of Gypsy and Dee Dee Blanchard is a harrowing exploration of control, manipulation, and the desperate quest for freedom. As the story unfolds, it becomes evident that the real horror lies not in the act of rebellion itself, but in the unraveling of identities and the profound impact of a lifetime spent in the shadows of another's making. In the dimly lit corners of their home, the first flickers of rebellion began to emerge within Gypsy Rose. Despite the heavy cloak of control that her mother, Dee Dee, had draped over her life, Gypsy's spirit started to awaken. It was subtle at first, a whisper of defiance against the suffocating rules and regulations that dictated her existence. She began to question the reality her mother had constructed, filled with false diagnoses and fabricated illnesses, leading her to yearn for autonomy and truth. As Gypsy navigated her childhood, the tension between her desires and her mother's expectations grew palpable. The small acts of rebellion, like sneaking a taste of food she was forbidden to eat or expressing her discontent through art, became her secret acts of defiance. Each tiny act was a seed planted in the fertile ground of her longing for freedom. The fear of her mother's wrath loomed large, yet it was overshadowed by an emerging sense of self that demanded to be acknowledged. The pivotal moment came when Gypsy stumbled upon the internet, a vast world that promised escape and discovery. Here, she found stories of others who had broken free from the chains of oppression, igniting a spark of hope within her. The more she learned about her own condition, the more she realized that her life was a twisted narrative crafted by her mother. This realization was both liberating and terrifying, as it marked the beginning of her fight against the very person who had claimed to protect her. Dee Dee, sensing the subtle shifts in Gypsy's demeanor, tightened her grip. She ramped up her manipulative tactics, ensuring that Gypsy felt isolated and powerless. But the rebellion had taken root, and Gypsy found solace in small connections outside her home, where she could voice her frustrations and dreams. Each conversation was a balm to her bruised spirit, reinforcing her resolve to reclaim her life. Ultimately, the first signs of rebellion were not just about defiance against Dee Dee, but also the awakening of Gypsy's identity. With each act of resistance, she began to redefine who she was, beyond the labels imposed upon her. It was a struggle between a mother's suffocating love and a daughter's desperate quest for independence, setting the stage for a tumultuous battle that would soon unfold. The journey towards liberation was fraught with danger, but it was also a testament to the unyielding human spirit that yearns to break free from the shadows of control. Manipulation and fear are potent tools in the hands of those who understand the human psyche. In the twisted relationship between Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, manipulation took center stage, creating a world where fear dictated every action. Dee Dee's constant control over Gypsy's life was a manifestation of her deep-seated need for power, leaving Gypsy trapped in a web of deceit and emotional turmoil. The fear instilled in Gypsy by her mother was not merely a product of physical dominance, but rather an intricate dance of psychological manipulation. Dee Dee constructed an environment where Gypsy's reality was distorted, Illnesses were fabricated, and her independence was stripped away. This constant barrage of fear and manipulation led to a profound identity crisis for Gypsy, as she grappled with the blurred lines between love and control. As the narrative unfolds, the profound impact of this manipulation becomes clearer. Gypsy's fear of the outside world was palpable, cultivated by her mother's incessant lies and threats. Every whisper of rebellion was met with severe repercussions, reinforcing Gypsy's submission and dependence. This dynamic is a chilling reminder of how fear can be wielded as a weapon against the vulnerable, creating a cycle of control that is difficult to escape. In seeking to understand the psychological implications of such manipulation, one must consider the broader societal context that allows these dynamics to flourish. The relationship between Gypsy and Dee Dee is not isolated. It reflects a disturbing trend where caregivers exploit their authority for personal gain. This manipulation, rooted in fear, not only devastates the victim, but also sparks a dialogue about the necessity for vigilance in recognizing the signs of emotional abuse within familial structures. Ultimately, the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard is a harrowing exploration of manipulation and fear. It serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of the human spirit when faced with such overwhelming control. As readers dive deeper into this psychological thriller, they are left to ponder the lengths to which one might go to break free from the chains of manipulation and reclaim their life, even when fear is the only emotion they have ever known. In the complex web of human relationships, the ties that bind can often be both fragile and formidable. Gypsy Rose Blanchard's life exemplifies this duality, where the bonds of family, particularly with her mother Dee Dee, are laced with manipulation and control. Their relationship was a unique blend of love and deceit, creating a psychological landscape where trust was both a weapon and a shield. As Gypsy navigated her world, the constraints imposed by Dee Dee transformed what should have been nurturing ties into a perilous entanglement that would ultimately lead to chaos. The concept of loyalty in this mother-daughter dynamic is fraught with contradictions. Gypsy's fierce love for Dee Dee is overshadowed by a growing awareness of the toxic environment that her mother cultivated. This push and pull of emotions illustrates the psychological turmoil that arises when affection is intertwined with abuse. As Gypsy began to grasp the reality of her situation, the very ties that bound her to Dee Dee became the chains that restrained her from seeking freedom. Isolation was another significant factor in their relationship, as Dee Dee's overprotectiveness kept Gypsy from forming connections outside their home. This seclusion served to strengthen the psychological grip Dee Dee had over her daughter, creating an illusion of safety that was anything but secure. The impact of this isolation highlights the lengths to which individuals will go to maintain control, often at the expense of their loved ones' well-being. In Gypsy's case, the very ties that were meant to provide comfort became suffocating barriers to her autonomy. As the narrative unfolds, the external pressures from society begin to seep into their world, further complicating the ties that bind them. The scrutiny from outsiders, mixed with Gypsy's internal struggle, creates a psychological tension that is palpable. The expectations placed upon them, both as mother and daughter and as public figures, exacerbate their already strained relationship. This mounting pressure serves as a catalyst for Gypsy's eventual rebellion, illustrating how the ties that once symbolized unity can devolve into a battleground of conflicting desires and identities. Ultimately, the story of Gypsy and Dee Dee is a chilling reminder of the complexities of familial bonds. The ties that bind can either uplift or ensnare, and in their case, they evolved into a sinister narrative of control and desperation. As Gypsy sought to untangle herself from the web of deceit, the journey reflected a profound exploration of freedom, identity, and the psychological scars left by those we love the most. The ending of their story is both tragic and revealing, emphasizing the power of the ties that bind and the lengths one might go to break free from them. As the clock ticked relentlessly, Gypsy felt the weight of her reality pressing down upon her. Each moment spent under the watchful eye of her mother, Dee Dee, was a reminder of the suffocating control that defined her existence. Planning her escape became not just a desire, but a desperate need for freedom. The walls of their home, once a sanctuary, transformed into a prison, and every detail in her plan mattered more than ever. Gypsy meticulously studied her surroundings, looking for the faintest glimmer of hope. She observed the patterns of her mother's routines, noting the times when Dee Dee was preoccupied with her own distractions. It was during these moments that Gypsy felt the spark of possibility ignite within her. The key to her escape lay in the shadows, where she could slip away unnoticed, and the thrill of that thought provided a temporary respite from her grim reality. With each fleeting thought of freedom, Gypsy crafted a mental map of her escape route. She envisioned the streets she would traverse, the safe haven she would find, and the life she could lead beyond the chains of her past. It was a blend of fear and exhilaration. The very act of planning filled her with a sense of agency she had long been denied. But as she plotted her course, she was also haunted by the unknown. Would anyone be waiting for her on the other side? Understanding the risk involved, Gypsy knew she had to act with precision and caution. She began to gather small items that would aid her in her flight: money, clothing, and a phone. Each item was carefully stashed away, hidden from Dee Dee's prying eyes. The act of preparing became a ritual, one that filled her with hope, yet underscored the reality of her precarious situation. It was a delicate balance between hope and despair, and she treaded it carefully. As the day of her planned escape approached, the tension in the air was palpable. Gypsy could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, mixing with the fear that had become her constant companion. This was her chance, her moment to break free from the shackles of her mother's manipulation. With every heartbeat, she reminded herself that the life she envisioned was worth the risk. The taste of freedom was near, and she was determined to savor it, no matter the cost. The night had fallen over the small town like a shroud, wrapping the streets in an unsettling silence that seemed to pulse with tension. In the distance, the flickering lights of the Blanchard home stood as a beacon of secrets waiting to be unveiled. Gypsy Rose had spent years under her mother's oppressive thumb, but tonight felt different. The air crackled with anticipation, as if the very universe knew that the moment of reckoning was at hand. With every tick of the clock, her heart raced faster, each beat a reminder of the choices that lay ahead. As she prepared for what was to come, memories flooded her mind, blurring the lines between past and present. Dee Dee's controlling nature had woven a web of deceit around her, suffocating any hope of escape. Yet, in the depths of her despair, Gypsy had found strength, a determination to reclaim her life that had been stolen from her. The thought of freedom ignited a fire within her, pushing her to confront the fears that had haunted her for so long. The atmosphere in the house was thick with tension, a palpable energy that seemed to vibrate through the walls. Gypsy glanced at her mother, who sat oblivious to the storm brewing in her daughter's heart. Dee Dee, with her charming smile and manipulative ways, was the last person to suspect that the very person she had tried to control was now ready to break free. The dichotomy of love and resentment twisted within Gypsy, forcing her to grapple with the complex emotions that had defined their relationship. As the clock struck midnight, the moment of truth arrived. With a deep breath, Gypsy steeled herself for the confrontation she had rehearsed in her mind countless times. She knew that this was not just a fight for her own freedom, but a battle that could shatter the illusion Dee Dee had cultivated for years. The stakes were higher than ever, and Gypsy felt the weight of her decision bearing down on her, as if the very fabric of her life depended on the choices made in the next few moments. In that dimly lit room, the night unfolded like a dark tapestry, revealing the intertwined fates of mother and daughter. The night of reckoning was not just a culmination of years of manipulation and control. It was a pivotal moment that would redefine their lives forever. With resolve in her heart, Gypsy stepped forward, ready to confront her past, and for the first time, take control of her own narrative. It was time to unravel the threads of deception and reclaim her identity, no matter the cost. The moment Gypsy stepped into the world outside her mother's oppressive grasp, she was met with a kaleidoscope of emotions. Freedom, once a distant dream, now enveloped her like a warm blanket. However, the reality of this newfound independence was fraught with unexpected challenges. Navigating a life she had never known, she grappled with the weight of choices and the haunting memories of her past. The exhilaration of liberation quickly shifted to a profound sense of disorientation. As she sought to establish her identity, Gypsy encountered the complexities of societal expectations. Every interaction was a delicate dance of learning and unlearning. She was no longer the sheltered girl, but rather a young woman with the power to define her future. Yet, the shadows of her childhood lingered, reminding her of the manipulation and deceit that had shaped her reality. This juxtaposition of freedom and fear created a psychological battleground within her, where the echoes of her mother's voice often drowned out her own thoughts. Building relationships in this new world proved to be both a blessing and a curse. While the kindness of strangers offered her solace, it also exposed her vulnerability. Gypsy struggled to trust, having been conditioned to doubt the intentions of those around her. The friendships she formed were tinged with suspicion, as the ghosts of her past influenced her perceptions. Each connection became a test of her resilience, as she learned to navigate the emotional complexities of trust and betrayal. In the quest for healing and self-discovery, Gypsy found solace in therapy. The therapeutic process provided a safe space for her to confront the trauma that had long been buried. Gradually, she began to unravel the intricacies of her psyche, peeling away the layers of guilt and shame that had been instilled in her. This journey towards understanding was not linear. It often led her down dark paths where she had to face her deepest fears and insecurities. Ultimately, life after freedom was not simply about escaping the clutches of her mother, but about embracing the full spectrum of human experience. Gypsy learned that true liberation comes with the responsibility of making choices and facing the consequences. As she forged her own path, she discovered that healing was an ongoing process filled with setbacks and triumphs. The journey was hers to navigate, and within that, she found a sense of empowerment that would guide her forward into an uncertain yet hopeful future. Survival is a primal instinct, yet it often manifests in the most complex ways, especially within the context of psychological manipulation. The struggles of survival are not merely physical. They extend into the emotional and mental realms. For Gypsy Rose, her battle was not just against the world outside, but also the twisted reality crafted by her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. Each day was a fight to discern truth from the lies she had been fed since childhood, which blurred the lines of her own identity. As Gypsy navigated the treacherous waters of her upbringing, her sense of self began to fracture. The psychological toll of living in a fabricated world created an internal struggle that was often invisible to those around her. Her mother's control was suffocating, and Gypsy's attempts to assert her independence were met with manipulative tactics that left her feeling powerless. The constant turmoil left her in a state of survival mode, where every decision was a calculated risk, and trust became a luxury she could not afford. The emotional scars left by Dee Dee's deceptions ran deep, manifesting in a profound sense of isolation. Gypsy's longing for a normal life, filled with love and acceptance, was overshadowed by the fear instilled in her by her mother. This duality of wanting to break free, while simultaneously fearing the consequences, created a psychological battleground within her. Each moment of rebellion came at a cost, heightening her internal conflict and shaping her understanding of survival. As the narrative unfolds, the reader witnesses Gypsy's desperate need for liberation, clashing with the ingrained fear of abandonment and betrayal. The struggle for survival is poignantly illustrated through her covert actions as she seeks allies and devises plans to escape the clutches of her mother. The psychological thriller aspect intensifies as every move she makes is fraught with danger, encapsulating the essence of survival against overwhelming odds. In the climax of her journey, Gypsy's struggles crystallize into a fierce determination to reclaim her life. The fight for survival transforms from a passive endurance of her circumstances to an active pursuit of freedom. The psychological implications of her journey resonate deeply, illustrating that the path to survival is often riddled with emotional turmoil and moral dilemmas. Gypsy's story serves as a haunting reminder of the complexities of the human psyche and the lengths one will go to achieve a sense of autonomy. The media frenzy surrounding Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mother, Dee Dee, captivated the nation and thrust them into the spotlight. This case, marked by deception and tragedy, drew the attention of news outlets eager to report on the bizarre circumstances that unfolded. As details emerged, the public's curiosity transformed into a relentless pursuit of information, with journalists bombarding the airwaves with updates and theories. The sensationalism surrounding their story not only highlighted the complexities of their relationship, but also unveiled the darker aspects of human nature as viewers grappled with the morality of their actions. As the case progressed, the media's portrayal of Gypsy and Dee Dee morphed from sympathetic victims to controversial figures. With every new revelation, the narrative shifted, and the audience was left questioning their initial perceptions. This shift in narrative was fueled by the public's insatiable appetite for scandal, leading to a barrage of sensational headlines that often misrepresented the truth. The intricate layers of manipulation, abuse, and survival became fodder for commentary and analysis, making the case a modern-day cautionary tale about the dangers of media influence. Social media platforms became a breeding ground for speculation and judgment, with amateur sleuths dissecting every detail of the case. The viral nature of these discussions amplified the scrutiny faced by Gypsy, who was often portrayed as a pawn in her mother's twisted game. As hashtags trended and conversations erupted online, the lines between fact and fiction blurred, leaving many to wonder where the truth truly lay. This digital frenzy not only shaped public opinion, but also influenced the legal proceedings. as every move was scrutinized by an ever-watchful audience. The phenomenon of this media frenzy raised ethical questions about the responsibilities of journalists and the impact of sensationalism on real lives. With every headline, the complexities of mental illness, familial bonds, and societal judgment were oversimplified for the sake of ratings. The case of Gypsy and Dee. Dee served as a stark reminder of the power the media wields, as well as the potential consequences of its relentless pursuit of clicks and views. In the end, the narrative became less about the individuals involved and more about the spectacle that surrounded them. Ultimately, the media frenzy not only shaped the public's understanding of the case, but also highlighted the need for a more nuanced approach to storytelling. As audiences consumed the drama unfolding before them, it became clear that the quest for sensationalism often obscured the deeper truths. Gypsy's story is one of resilience and survival, yet it was often overshadowed by the frenzy that engulfed her life. The repercussions of this media storm continue to echo, leaving behind a trail of questions about the ethics of reporting and the human stories behind sensational headlines. The story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, is one that has captivated and horrified the public, raising questions about the nature of truth and perception. The media frenzy surrounding their case painted a vivid picture of a young girl trapped in a world of abuse and deception, leading many to form strong opinions based on limited information. This public perception often contrasts sharply with the complex reality of their lives, where motivations and actions are far from black and white. Initially, the narrative presented by the media depicted Gypsy as a victim, manipulated by her mother into a life of illness and confinement. This portrayal resonated with many, sparking outrage and sympathy for Gypsy. However, as the case unfolded, deeper layers of manipulation and psychological turmoil emerged, revealing that the reality was far more convoluted than the initial headlines suggested. The public's empathy shifted as new details came to light, leaving them to grapple with the uncomfortable truths behind the facade. Dee Dee Blanchard was often viewed solely as a monster, a woman who forced her daughter into a life of medical abuse. Yet, understanding her background and the potential psychological factors at play is crucial for a more nuanced understanding of the situation. Many in the field of psychology recognize that Dee Dee's actions may have stemmed from her own traumas and struggles, which complicates the narrative of simple good versus evil. This complexity challenges readers to reconsider their initial judgments and to approach the story with a more critical lens. Public perception is frequently influenced by sensationalized media coverage, which tends to simplify and dramatize events for entertainment value. This simplification often neglects the rich psychological undercurrents present in cases like that of Gypsy and Dee Dee, where mental illness, societal pressures, and familial bonds intertwine. As a result, the reality of their lives becomes obscured, leading to a disconnect between what is reported and what truly occurred. Understanding this disconnect is vital for those seeking to grasp the full scope of the narrative. In conclusion, the juxtaposition of public perception and reality in the case of Gypsy Rose and Dee Dee Blanchard serves as a potent reminder of the complexities inherent in human relationships and psychological struggles. It urges readers to question the narratives they consume and to seek out a deeper understanding of the individuals involved. The story is not just about a crime, but about the profound psychological intricacies that can lead to devastating outcomes, challenging us to confront our own perceptions in the process. Revisiting childhood trauma often uncovers the buried memories that shape our adult lives. For many, the echoes of a turbulent upbringing linger long after the physical scars have healed. In the case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, her childhood was marked by a bizarre and abusive relationship with her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. This relationship not only affected her physical health, but also twisted her perception of reality, leading to a complex interplay of dependency and rebellion. As Gypsy grew older, the oppressive environment created by Dee Dee's constant manipulation and control became more suffocating. The trauma she endured manifested in various ways, influencing her interactions and emotional responses. This cyclical nature of trauma, where past experiences intrude into present consciousness, highlights the psychological scars that remain long after the immediate threat has dissipated. Understanding this dynamic is crucial for comprehending the motivations behind Gypsy's actions as she sought to escape her mother's clutches. The psychological implications of Gypsy's experiences are profound. Her life encapsulates the tragic consequences of emotional and physical abuse, revealing how deeply ingrained trauma can distort one's identity. As she navigated the complexities of her existence, the line between victim and perpetrator began to blur. This transformation raises critical questions about accountability and the impact of childhood trauma on personal agency. Furthermore, the societal fascination with Gypsy's story often overlooks the nuances of her trauma. Many narratives reduce her to a mere spectacle, ignoring the psychological battles she fought daily. By revisiting her childhood trauma, we gain insight into the resilience required to reclaim one's narrative amidst overwhelming adversity. This exploration not only humanizes Gypsy, but also encourages a broader conversation about the effects of childhood trauma on mental health. Ultimately, revisiting childhood trauma serves as a powerful reminder of the lasting impact such experiences can have on individuals. It challenges us to confront uncomfortable truths about abuse and its ramifications. Gypsy Rose Blanchard's story is not just one of horror, but also of survival, making it a compelling case study in the realm of psychological thrillers. By understanding her journey, we can better appreciate the complexities of trauma and the strength required to overcome it. The psychological fallout from the tumultuous relationship between Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mother, Dee Dee, is a haunting testament to the complexities of manipulation and control. The web of deceit spun by Dee Dee created a reality where Gypsy was trapped in a life of fabricated illness and dependency. This manipulation not only affected Gypsy's physical well-being, but also left deep scars on her mental health, creating a fractured identity that would take years to untangle. As she navigated her newfound freedom, the remnants of her mother's psychological grip lingered, casting shadows on her journey toward self-discovery. In the aftermath of her escape, Gypsy faced the daunting challenge of reconstructing her sense of self. The psychological trauma experienced during her formative years manifested in anxiety, confusion, and a pervasive sense of unworthiness. Each step forward was met with echoes of her past, as she grappled with the question of who she truly was outside of her mother's influence. This internal struggle highlights the profound impact of psychological abuse, illustrating how it can distort one's perception of reality and self-worth. Moreover, the societal response to Gypsy's story further complicates her healing process. Public fascination with her case often overshadows her individual experience, reducing her narrative to mere spectacle rather than a serious exploration of mental health issues. This phenomenon can exacerbate feelings of isolation and misunderstanding, making it even more challenging for Gypsy to find her place in a world that has commodified her suffering. The media's portrayal of her as both victim and perpetrator serves to highlight the complexity of her situation and the multifaceted nature of psychological trauma. As Gypsy seeks to reclaim her narrative, she must confront not only her past, but also the societal perceptions that continue to shape her identity. The stigma surrounding mental illness and the misconceptions about her story create barriers to understanding and acceptance. It becomes crucial for Gypsy to find allies who can support her in dismantling these narratives and validating her experiences. In doing so, she can begin to forge a path towards healing that acknowledges the full spectrum of her journey. Ultimately, the psychological fallout serves as a poignant reminder of the enduring effects of psychological manipulation and the importance of recognizing the signs of abuse. Gypsy Rose Blanchard's story is not just one of survival, but also a call to action for society to address the complexities of mental health with compassion and understanding. Through her journey, we are invited to reflect on our own perceptions of victimhood, resilience, and the intricate web of human relationships that shape our realities. The legal battles surrounding Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, unfolded like a dramatic saga, capturing the attention of the nation. At the heart of this tumultuous narrative was the question of truth versus deception, as Gypsy was long believed to be suffering from various ailments orchestrated by her mother. This facade, crafted over years, led to a complex web of legal issues once Gypsy took matters into her own hands. The courtroom became a stage where both the prosecution and defense presented their narratives, leaving the audience to grapple with the moral ambiguities of the case. As the trial progressed, the details emerged, revealing the extent of Dee Dee's manipulation and control over Gypsy's life. Witnesses painted a harrowing picture of abuse, with medical professionals testifying about the unnecessary treatments and medications Gypsy endured. The legal arguments centered not only on Gypsy's actions, but also on the psychological ramifications of living under such extreme duress. The courtroom discussions delved into the psychological thriller aspects of the case, drawing parallels to classic narratives of manipulation and survival. The media frenzy surrounding the trial added another layer of complexity to the legal proceedings. Journalists and commentators dissected each development, often sensationalizing the story, while raising ethical questions about the coverage. This public scrutiny influenced the courtroom dynamics, as jurors were exposed to a continuous stream of opinions and narratives. The legal battles became not only about justice for Gypsy, but also about the societal perceptions of mental health and familial obligations. Throughout the trial, Gypsy's own voice emerged, providing a glimpse into her reality. Her testimony was both poignant and revealing, as she recounted the years of coercion and fear that drove her to commit a desperate act. The emotional weight of her words resonated with many, highlighting the psychological struggles faced by those who are manipulated by loved ones. This narrative of survival and resilience set the stage for a legal battle that was as much about personal redemption as it was about accountability. In the aftermath of the trial, the legal battles continued, with Gypsy's future hanging in the balance. The discussions around her sentencing sparked debates regarding culpability and victimhood, as many viewed her actions as a response to years of abuse. The complexities of the case underscored the intricacies of the law in relation to psychological trauma, leaving a lasting impact on all who followed the story. Ultimately, The legal battles surrounding Gypsy Rose Blanchard serve as a chilling reminder of the depths of manipulation and the quest for justice in the face of overwhelming adversity. In the shadows of her tumultuous past, Gypsy Rose Blanchard embarks on a profound journey for closure, grappling with the haunting memories of her childhood, the manipulation and deceit that defined her relationship with Dee Dee Blanchard left deep psychological scars that she must confront. Each step towards healing is fraught with emotional turmoil, as the spectra of her mother looms large in her mind, complicating her quest for freedom and understanding. The stark reality of Gypsy's life is a labyrinth of fear, control, and betrayal. As she navigates the repercussions of her past, she learns that closure is not merely a destination, but a complex process that requires facing uncomfortable truths. The struggle to reconcile her identity with the years spent under her mother's thumb becomes central to her emotional recovery. Each revelation uncovers layers of trauma that challenge her perception of self-worth and agency. In her search for closure, Gypsy finds solace in unexpected places, forging connections with those who understand the intricacies of her plight. These relationships serve as a counterbalance to the isolation she felt for so long. Through therapy and support groups, she begins to piece together the fragments of her shattered identity, slowly transforming her narrative from one of victimhood to empowerment. The process is arduous, yet it is essential for her to reclaim her life. Confronting her mother's legacy becomes a pivotal moment in Gypsy's journey. The psychological weight of Dee Dee's actions forces Gypsy to delve into the depths of her emotions, allowing her to articulate the pain that had been silenced for years. As she recounts her experiences, the catharsis of storytelling emerges as a powerful tool for healing. Each word spoken is a step closer to liberation, as she sheds the confines of her past. Ultimately, Gypsy's quest for closure is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. It illustrates the profound impact of psychological trauma and the arduous path to reclaiming one's life after years of manipulation. Through her journey, she learns that closure may not mean forgetting, but rather understanding and integrating her experiences into a new narrative of strength and survival. Her story becomes a beacon of hope for others caught in the web of psychological control, emphasizing the importance of seeking truth and healing. The journey towards recovery is fraught with challenges, particularly for those who have endured the complexities of manipulation and trauma. Gypsy Rose Blanchard's story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, as she navigates the aftermath of a life dominated by her mother's deceitful grip. Each step towards healing is not merely a physical journey, but a profound psychological transformation that requires immense courage and support. As Gypsy begins to reclaim her identity, she faces the daunting task of reconciling her past with her present. The memories of her childhood, marked by fabricated illnesses and emotional abuse, often resurface, threatening to hinder her progress. Therapy becomes a crucial component of her recovery, offering her a safe space to explore her feelings and confront the trauma that has shaped her existence. The support of mental health professionals plays a pivotal role in helping her build a foundation of self-worth and independence. Community support emerges as another vital element in Gypsy's path to recovery. The connections she forms with others who have experienced similar hardships provide a sense of belonging and understanding. These relationships foster a nurturing environment, encouraging her to express her thoughts and emotions freely. Through shared experiences, Gypsy learns that she is not alone in her struggles, which significantly alleviates the burden of her past. However, recovery is not linear. It is a process filled with setbacks and triumphs. Gypsy's journey reflects the reality that healing takes time and patience. There are days when the weight of her past feels overwhelming, and moments when hope seems elusive. Yet each small victory, whether it be a new friendship or a breakthrough in therapy, reinforces her determination to move forward and embrace life beyond the shadows of her past. Ultimately, the path to recovery is a powerful reminder of the strength that lies within. Gypsy Rose Blanchard's story serves as an inspiration to those who have faced adversity, illustrating that while the road may be long and winding, the potential for a fulfilling life is always within reach. Embracing her newfound freedom and identity, Gypsy embarks on a hopeful journey, ready to redefine her future on her own terms. In the aftermath of a life steeped in manipulation and deceit, the journey of self-discovery becomes a formidable challenge. Stripped of the false identity imposed by others, the protagonist grapples with the reality of who she is. This struggle is not merely about shedding the layers of falsehood, but also about confronting the emotional scars left behind. The desire to grasp a new identity intertwines with the fear of what that identity might reveal, creating a complex psychological landscape. As she navigates through this tumultuous transition, every step forward is accompanied by echoes of her past. Memories of being controlled and confined linger like shadows, casting doubt on her newfound freedom. The process of finding herself is fraught with moments of vulnerability, where the lines between the person she was and the person she aspires to be blur. Each day presents an opportunity to redefine her narrative, yet the ghosts of her previous existence threaten to undermine her progress. In seeking a new identity, the protagonist encounters a myriad of external influences that shape her perception. Society's expectations, the stigmas attached to her past, and the persistent judgment from those around her create a cacophony of voices. Amidst this noise, she must carve out a space for her authentic self, learning to recognize her own needs and desires. This quest for identity becomes a battle not only against her past, but also against the societal constructs that seek to confine her. The journey is marked by significant milestones, each representing a reclaiming of power and agency. Engaging in therapy, forming new relationships, and exploring personal interests become pivotal in her transformation. These experiences serve as stepping stones, guiding her towards understanding the complexities of her psyche. However, the path remains rocky as she wrestles with self-doubt and the ever-present fear of reverting back to her old ways. Ultimately, finding a new identity is not simply about the rejection of her past, but about embracing the complexity of her human experience. It is a continuous process of self-acceptance, healing, and growth. As she learns to navigate her emotions and redefine her sense of self, the protagonist evolves into a figure of resilience. This transformation is not without challenges, but it is a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. The societal impact of the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case offers a chilling glimpse into the complexities of human psychology and the length to which individuals will go to seek control and manipulation. This case, intertwined with themes of deception and mental illness, captivated the public and sparked widespread debate about the responsibilities of caregivers and the vulnerabilities of those who are dependent on them. It revealed not only the dark undercurrents of familial relationships, but also the societal failures in recognizing and addressing abuse in its many forms. As the story unfolded, it drew attention to the phenomenon of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a rare but devastating condition that poses ethical dilemmas for medical professionals and law enforcement. Society found itself grappling with questions about how to balance compassion for victims with the need for intervention when those victims are manipulated by their caregivers. The case highlighted a significant gap in the understanding of such psychological disorders, prompting a re-evaluation of how mental health is perceived and treated within the community. Moreover, the media frenzy surrounding the case had profound implications for public perception. The sensationalism often overshadowed the deeper issues at play, leading to a culture of judgment rather than empathy. This shift in narrative transformed Gypsy Rose into a symbol of victimhood, yet it also raised concerns about the potential for misrepresentation and the oversimplification of complex psychological issues. As a result, society became more aware of the need for nuanced discussions about mental health and the impact of sensational media reporting. The aftermath of the case also spurred discussions on the responsibilities of society in protecting its most vulnerable members. Many began to question the adequacy of child protection services and the legal measures in place to safeguard individuals from psychological and physical abuse. Such discussions are crucial as they highlight the need for systemic changes to better support victims of manipulation and abuse, ensuring that their voices are heard and that they receive the protection they need. Ultimately, the impact of the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case on society serves as a stark reminder of the complexities surrounding psychological disorders and the often hidden realities of abuse. It calls for a collective responsibility to educate ourselves and others about these issues, fostering a more compassionate and informed society. This case will likely continue to influence discussions about mental health, victim advocacy, and the ethical obligations of those who work with vulnerable individuals, ensuring that the lessons learned are not forgotten. In the intricate web of human relationships, the lessons learned from the psychological thriller surrounding Gypsy Rose and Dee Dee Blanchard reveal profound truths about manipulation, trust, and the depths of maternal influence. Their story exemplifies how the bond between mother and child can morph into an entangled dynamic of control and dependency, leading to devastating consequences. The chilling reality of this case serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities inherent in familial relationships, urging readers to reflect on the complex nature of love and loyalty. One significant lesson from this narrative is the importance of questioning the narratives we are presented with. Gypsy's life, framed by her mother's deceit, illustrates the danger of accepting information at face value. It highlights the necessity of critical thinking and the willingness to seek the truth, especially when something feels amiss. The psychological manipulation employed by Dee Dee not only ensnared Gypsy, but also those around them, showcasing how easily trust can be exploited. Moreover, the story illuminates the repercussions of societal perceptions of illness and disability. It prompts a discussion on how society often overlooks the psychological impact of such conditions, focusing predominantly on physical manifestations. This oversight can lead to tragic outcomes, as seen in Gypsy's case, where her mother's control was masked by the guise of care. The lessons here extend beyond individual stories, urging a re-evaluation of how we treat those perceived as vulnerable. Additionally, the narrative serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of unchecked authority and the necessity for intervention when warning signs arise. Gypsy's plight went unnoticed for far too long, demonstrating the failures of systems designed to protect individuals from harm. This aspect of the story encourages readers to consider their roles in safeguarding others and the importance of listening to the voices of those who may be suffering in silence. Ultimately, unraveling Gypsy compels us to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature and the complexities of mental health. The lessons learned are not just confined to the realm of psychological thrillers, but resonate deeply with anyone who has grappled with trust, manipulation, and the quest for autonomy. As we navigate our own relationships, the insights gleaned from Gypsy and Dee's harrowing tale can guide us toward healthier, more aware interactions. The journey of self-discovery is often fraught with pain and revelation, and for those entwined in the complexities of psychological manipulation, the path can be particularly treacherous. In the case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, her life story serves as a haunting reflection of the darker facets of human nature. The insights gleaned from her experiences highlight not only the tragic consequences of deceit, but also the resilience of the human spirit. As we delve into her world, we uncover layers of psychological turmoil that challenge our perceptions of victimhood and agency. Every individual is shaped by their experiences, but for Gypsy, her childhood was a tapestry woven with threads of control and exploitation. Dee Dee Blanchard, her mother, orchestrated a facade of illness that ensnared Gypsy in a web of manipulation for years. This dynamic raises significant questions about the nature of trust and betrayal within familial relationships. The reflection on this relationship underscores the profound impact of psychological abuse and the lengths to which individuals may go to reclaim their autonomy. Insight into Gypsy's psyche reveals a young woman grappling with her identity amidst years of enforced subservience. The contrast between her public persona and her internal struggles paints a vivid picture of confusion and longing for freedom. This dichotomy serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities surrounding mental health and the often invisible scars left by emotional trauma. Readers are invited to explore the depths of her character, seeing not just a victim, but a survivor seeking to understand her reality. The narrative further compels us to reflect on the societal implications of such psychological thrillers. It challenges us to consider how we perceive victims and perpetrators, often leading to a blurred line between sympathy and judgment. Gypsy's story is not merely a sensational headline. It is a profound exploration of the human condition, revealing the fragility of trust and the strength required to confront one's reality. The insights gained from her journey encourage a broader conversation about mental health and the importance of empathy in understanding complex situations. Ultimately, reflection and insight serves as a poignant examination of the psychological intricacies that define Gypsy Rose Blanchard's life. It invites readers to engage with the moral dilemmas presented within her story, compelling us to ponder how we navigate our own relationships and the potential for healing in the aftermath of trauma. This subchapter not only sheds light on Gypsy's experiences, but also encourages a deeper understanding of the psychological forces at play in the lives of those affected by manipulation and abuse. In the aftermath of the harrowing events that unfolded, the journey of healing and self-discovery begins for Gypsy. She is faced with the daunting task of piecing together her shattered identity, a process fraught with emotional turmoil and uncertainty. The weight of her past is heavy, but she is determined to reclaim her narrative and move beyond the shadows that have loomed over her life for so long. As Gypsy navigates the complexities of her new reality, she finds strength in the connection she forms with others who have experienced similar struggles. These relationships become a lifeline, offering her support and understanding as she learns to trust again. With each step, she begins to untangle the web of manipulation spun by Dee Dee, her mother, and confronts the truth of her upbringing. The path forward is not linear. There are setbacks and moments of doubt that threaten to pull her back into the darkness. However, Gypsy learns that resilience is born from facing one's fears and embracing vulnerability. Through therapy and introspection, she begins to understand the psychological scars left by her mother's actions and starts to forge a new sense of self that is independent of her past. Ultimately, moving forward means redefining her goals and aspirations. Gypsy begins to explore her passions, channeling her energy into creative pursuits that allow her to express herself authentically. This exploration serves not only as a means of healing, but also as a powerful statement of liberation from the constraints that once bound her. As she stands on the precipice of a new chapter, Gypsy realizes that moving forward is not about forgetting the past, but about learning from it. The journey ahead is filled with possibilities, and she is ready to embrace them with open arms. In reclaiming her story, Gypsy not only finds her voice, but also inspires others to seek their own paths of resilience and empowerment. In Manipulation and Betrayal, the Gypsy Rose and Dee Dee Blanchard story, the intricate dynamics of a mother-daughter relationship entangled in manipulation and betrayal are laid bare. As Gypsy Rose yearns for independence from her mother's suffocating control, she embarks on a perilous journey towards self-discovery and healing, revealing the chilling realities of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. This psychological thriller explores the complexities of love, trauma, and the relentless pursuit of autonomy in the face of profound darkness.
What's your emergency? Help!